Welcome to episode 5 of the BizOwner360 series. I'm your host, Brett Trainer. As a quick reminder for first-time listeners, each episode of the 360 series will focus on a single topic and will be guest-free and give you the tactics and strategies to help you grow your business to 10 million. Each episode builds off the previous one, but you don't have to listen in order. Each one has been designed as a standalone episode. So, if you recall in episode 4, I outlined the 0 to 10 growth system. It's broken into 4 individual frameworks, which I call ACEs, the acronym, which is A is for alignment, C, connect, E, enable, and S for support. And what I want to do in this episode is dig a little deeper into the first part, or the first framework, which is align and alignment. To be honest with you, I think this exercise should be absolutely mandatory for businesses of any size. Because quite honestly, I don't think very many businesses do a good job of being able to tell their story. And this is more than just story. You can tell an effective story, but it's creating alignment with the organization, the people in the organization, and ultimately with the offerings and, the customers you serve. And as I've talked in the past, right, with the change to digital first now in the B2B space and buyers in much more control of the buying process and doing research, you used to be able to get away with, having the conversation and selling individually and providing the information to that buyer. It just doesn't work anymore. And if that, from an alignment and organizational standpoint, you're not aligned, it's going to make it that much more difficult to sell, especially to folks that don't know you. So today we're going to spend a little bit of time going a little bit deeper into alignment. And then next episode, we'll get into the connect aspect and ultimately enable and then support. So I think the first step is to think about the alignment from an organizational standpoint. And one of the books and authors I had on, it's probably 50 episodes now, is Anthony Kandaris, who wrote a book called Run Frictionless. And in that book, he outlined the 4 Qs. And he approached this framework as, for founders and business owners, looking to sell or get out of the sales process. I really like that framework so much. I kind of took a mashup and moved it and expanded it into more of an organizational alignment versus just a selling framework. And, the easiest way, again, you're starting to see I'm big on acronyms, is, P and 4 Qs. And first you got to start with the problem, right? What is the problem that you were solving? That's going to be fundamental at org level. It's also going to be critical at the offering level. So if you think about what is the problem you're solving in the organization, there's 4 questions that you need to address, and they need to be aligned. The first one is who you serve, right? What is your target market? Who is your target market? Who are you trying to serve? Second is what do you serve, right? What is your offering? Is it professional services? Is it a product? Doesn't matter what it is, but what you serve needs to align with who you serve. And the third question I like to think of is why you serve. What is your why? Right? We talk about that on occasion. And I've done 180 on this. I used to think, the why was less important. If you had a good product, good solution, and you're solving the customer's problem, it didn't matter. But as we're seeing with, the Great Resignation, and folks having a lot more control of where they want to work, it's critical that the organization has a why. Why are you doing this? Why are you serving these customers? And I think it's important. It has to be aligned with what you're doing. Doesn't matter if you're in business just to make a ton of money. That's okay. You're going to want to attract people that share that passion for making a ton of money, or it could be, a greater good. But at the end of the day, you have to get not only you aligned around the why you do this, but also your employees, and then ultimately the customers. And then last is how you serve. And this really comes into the model. What's your go-to-market model, right? Are you using direct to customer, direct to the businesses? Is it e-commerce? Is it through channel partners? So those 4 need to be aligned, because if you're not connecting or you have a disconnect on one of those 4, it's going to make it that much more difficult to sell and scale your business. So let's assume for the sake that you've gone through this exercise, you've got that aligned. The next part is then to take this to the next level, which is at the offering level. And this is where we're getting much more specific, and you have to be detailed. As I tell, owners and entrepreneurs, it's okay to be opportunistic with your business. Folks are coming in, you get referrals, you can sell them if it's services, what you can do. I hear from founders all the time. If I can just get in front of the customer, I can sell them because I know our solution will solve their problem, which is great. But if we're looking at it from the 0 to 10, right, how do I get to 10 million? You have to be able to reach people that don't know you. And it's going to be asked to be crystal clear, the problem you solve, et cetera. So to think about this from an offering level, and I would encourage you to go through each of, what you offer today and make sure this is aligned. So it starts with the problem you solve, right? What is it? Who do you solve this problem for? And be very specific. In the B2B world, it could be multiple people, right? It could be a user, it could be a buyer, it could be the finance person that's looking for risk mitigation, but you have to be specific and the industry first, right? You can sell in multiple industries, but to be able to tell this story, get as niche down and as focused as possible, you can always expand. So you have the problem you solve, who you solve it for. The next one is how you solve it, but more importantly, how you solve it differently. This is where the differentiation comes in. Because if you're just competing on price and or we're better, you have to be 100x better to be able to convince a prospect that you're better. And pricing is just a race to the bottom. You got to figure out the value you provide to this customer and how you are different. If you can't think of difference, you might not be in the right business. And there's always differentiators. And when I talk about this process, we'll cover this in 10 minutes, right? Many companies I work with, this could be a 2-day exercise. You can pull in customer feedback to say, hey, why did they buy from you? But a little bit off topic, but as you think about how do I align this, get back to it. So you got the problem you solve, who you solve it for, how you solve it differently. What is the value to the customer? Think of it, this is where you can look at the pricing and don't think about it selling to the customer. Say, hey, we can solve this problem for you, Mr. Customer or Mrs. Customer, but this is what it's going to cost to do it. But here's the value, right? You're going to 3x your business or whatever it is. Think about it from your customer's perspective and, what that value looks like. And then tied directly to that is your competitive advantages, right? So if you look at the other folks in your space, and sometimes it could be your biggest competition is for your prospects to do nothing. You need to think about, again, how you're differentiated. And I wouldn't obsess with your competitors, but you do need to understand what they're doing. And then last part of this is the proof points, right? Where have you done it in the past? You don't have to do it a ton of times, but the fact that you'll give peace of mind to your prospects that you have done this in the past, and this is why it works, and this is the benefits you could see. So just a quick recap on that. Problem you solve, who you solve it for, how you solve it differently. Remember, not pricing. What is the value to the customer? What are your competitive advantages? And then the proof points. Again, this is a very worthwhile exercise, even if it's a side hustle to founder-led or owner-led. In the early days, you're hustling to get product all the way up to 10, 20, $100 million companies should be able to quickly articulate this, but most can't. Could be a huge competitive advantage for you. So anyway, that was the summary. That's alignment for today. Next week, we will get more into the connect, right? Because if you have the great story, can't get in front of the right prospects or customers, then this is going to be all for nothing. So next week, we'll spend a little bit of time in how to connect with your ideal customers. And as always, I thank you for listening. Again, continue to send me thoughts, questions, other episodes that you'd like to see. And also make sure you still continue to check out our weekly longer form podcast episode with the interviews. So, and as a favor, if you do enjoy the podcast, please do subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform and let other entrepreneurs or owners know if you think this could be a valuable resource to them. Okay. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.